that is like, feels like what my grief is like, where it's like, or what grief could be like, where it's like at all times there's like a giant like ocean of just awfulness that's like right there, and I can like see it. And like sometimes I just want to like just dive into it and just like be in it. And then sometimes I just like look at it, and then sometimes I'm like, I just try to get away from it, but it's always there.
The lights flash, the cameras roll, and Aubrey Plaza steps onto the red carpet. Her signature smirk lingers, unreadable, somewhere between irony and defiance. Reporters shout questions, photographers call her name, and the world laughs along with the actress who has mastered the art of discomfort. To millions, she is the queen of deadpan humor, the oddball who makes silence as funny as a punchline. But when the cameras dim and the noise fades, silence takes on another meaning, a heavier one. Behind closed doors, Aubrey Plaza faces a weight that rarely makes headlines, a grief she carries daily, woven into her life as tightly as her comedy. Grief doesn't announce itself on talk shows. It doesn't trend on Twitter. It hides in the pauses, in the moments where her smile slips, in the interviews where her eyes glaze for just a second too long. While the world laughs at her eccentric persona, few notice the shadow that trails her every step. This is not the story of Aubrey Plaza the comedian or Aubrey Plaza the icon of irony. This is the story of Aubrey Plaza the human being, one who wrestles with loss, with silence, with a kind of pain that never fully goes away. Because behind the smirk, behind the laughter, there is a silence. And inside that silence lives grief.
I mean, right in this very, very present moment, I feel happy to be with you. I feel overall, I'm here and I'm functioning, and I feel, like I feel really grateful to be moving through the world. I think like I'm okay, but it's like a daily struggle, obviously.
Aubrey Christina Plaza was born in Wilmington, Delaware, in 1984, the eldest of 3 daughters. Her father, a financial advisor, and her mother, an attorney, built a stable middle-class life. But Aubrey was never destined for ordinary. From an early age, she gravitated toward performance, school plays, talent shows, anything that let her channel the restless energy bubbling under her quiet exterior. Her Puerto Rican heritage gave her a sense of identity in a small, predominantly white community, while her Irish roots kept her grounded in a mix of cultures that shaped her unique worldview. Even then, Aubrey wasn't like other kids. Teachers remember her as sharp, witty, and stubborn, someone who seemed to live slightly sideways from everyone else. But destiny intervened when she was 20 years old. While studying film at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts, Aubrey suffered stroke. It left her temporarily paralyzed and struggling to speak. For a young woman who relied on performance, silence became a cruel prison. Recovery was slow, frightening, and uncertain. Doctors weren't sure how much she would regain. For Aubrey, it was a near-death glimpse of fragility, a reminder of how quickly everything can be taken away. Yet in that silence, she found resilience. She fought back, relearning movement, relearning words. And when she emerged from the shadows of recovery, she carried something different with her, an edge, a darkness, a sharpness that would later define her art. By her early 20s, Aubrey was performing improv at the Upright Citizens Brigade in New York City, carving a name for herself as the woman who could make a room both laugh and squirm at the same time. She auditioned relentlessly, eventually catching the attention of Hollywood casting directors who didn't know quite what to do with her. Was she a comedian, a dramatic actress, or something in between? That ambiguity became her weapon. In 2009, she landed the role that would change her life. April Ludgate on Parks and Recreation. Deadpan, sarcastic, utterly strange, April wasn't just a character. She was Aubrey Plaza, filtered through comedy. The world finally met the oddball who made silence dangerous, who turned awkwardness into brilliance. But even in this rise to fame, grief was there, tucked quietly behind the sharp humor. Friends and family noticed it in the way she deflected, the way she used irony as armor. The world laughed at April Ludgate, but Aubrey herself was learning how to live with something heavier, grief that never
I'm
quite let go.
okay, but it's like a daily struggle, obviously.
By the mid-2010s, Aubrey Plaza had become more than just an actress. She was a cultural force. Her breakout role on Parks and Recreation had cemented her as television's queen of deadpan, a character so iconic that April Ludgate lived on long after the show ended. Fans adored her for her sharp tongue, her odd pauses, and the way she could turn the simplest line into something unforgettable. But Aubrey refused to be boxed in. She chased roles that stretched beyond comedy, proving her range in films like Safety Not Guaranteed, 2012, where she played a cynical magazine intern unraveling a time travel mystery, and Ingrid Goes West, 2017, where her haunting portrayal of obsession and loneliness earned critical acclaim. She thrived on unpredictability, defying Hollywood's attempts to label her. Then came The White Lotus in 2022. As Harper Spiller, a sharp, skeptical lawyer vacationing in paradise, Aubrey delivered a performance that blended her trademark dryness with an undercurrent of pain. Critics hailed her as the standout of the season, and the industry finally began to see what fans had known all along. Aubrey Plaza wasn't just a quirky actress. She was one of the most compelling performers of her generation. Outside of her roles, she became a viral sensation. Talk show appearances turned into must-watch events, where her awkward silences and unpredictable comments left hosts scrambling. She stole scenes not by talking the most, but by saying the least. It was her superpower, wielding silence like a weapon in a world addicted to noise. To the public, Aubrey seemed untouchable. She was thriving, unique, and finally getting the recognition she deserved. Her career was on fire, her fame undeniable. And yet, beneath that glow, the grief remained. Even in her most celebrated performances, there were flickers, an intensity in her eyes, a weight behind the humor that hinted at something deeper. Aubrey had turned her pain into art, her silence into power. But power has a cost, and the cracks in her armor were waiting to surface. For years, audiences assumed Aubrey Plaza's dark humor was just an act, a clever mask, a carefully curated brand of weirdness that set her apart in Hollywood. But slowly, hints began to surface that her silence, her edge, was not only performance. It was personal. In interviews, Aubrey would deflect questions with sarcasm, sidestep vulnerability with a joke. But every so often, the mask slipped. She spoke briefly about losing close friends. She admitted that grief was something she carried daily, something she could never quite escape. Those rare glimpses revealed a truth the public wasn't ready to see, that the woman who made silence hilarious also used silence to hold back pain. Fans began to notice it in her public appearances. On red carpets, between flashes of sarcasm, her eyes sometimes lingered too long, her smile faltered. In talk shows, when the laughter died down, there were pauses that felt heavier than comedy. Clips circulated online, with viewers calling her awkward or strange, not realizing those pauses might have been grief breaking through. The industry, always eager for entertainment, turned her contradictions into spectacle. Was she being authentic, or was it just another Aubrey Plaza bit? The uncertainty became part of her mystique, but for Aubrey, it was a quiet fracture. The more people laughed at her persona, the more isolated she became inside her real emotions. What had once been her greatest strength, her ability to make silence funny, was also the place her pain lived. And though most of the world didn't see it, those who looked closely realized Aubrey Plaza wasn't just playing odd, unsettling characters. She was drawing from something very real. The first cracks had appeared, and soon they would. The descent wasn't marked by scandal splashed across tabloids or a public meltdown caught on camera. It was subtler, quieter, yet no less destructive. Her downfall was internal, a battle between the weight of grief and the demand to keep performing under the relentless glow of fame. Hollywood adored her unpredictability. Talk shows booked her because she made interviews feel unscripted, dangerous, alive. Directors cast her because she brought an edge no one else could replicate. But what they didn't see, or perhaps didn't want to see, was that much of that edge came from exhaustion, from silence carrying too much weight, from grief that shadowed her every move. Behind the scenes, Aubrey carried loss like a constant companion. Friends gone too soon. Mentors who had shaped her career, now absent. Moments of joy shadowed by the ache of absence. She would finish a shoot, slip into a funeral, and then return to set as if nothing had happened. Hollywood gave her no space to collapse. It demanded she keep the performance alive, even when her heart wasn't in it. And when she tried to show her pain, the world misunderstood. A pause in an interview became a meme. An unguarded stare turned into a joke. Grief, once exposed, was immediately reframed as part of the Aubrey Plaza act. Vulnerability was commodified, stripped of truth, and turned into spectacle. That's what made it a downfall, not a single event, but the realization that her most private feelings were no longer hers. The more she tried to break through the image, the more the image consumed her. She became trapped in her own persona, forced to live out the version of Aubrey Plaza that the world had built, quirky, darkly funny, detached. But in the quiet moments, away from cameras, she wasn't a character. She was a woman worn down by grief, struggling to breathe under the weight of expectation. And the world never noticed. Because the world wasn't looking for grief, they were looking for entertainment. Aubrey Plaza didn't fall because of scandal. She fell because silence, the very thing that had made her famous, became the place where her pain was ignored, misunderstood, and endlessly repackaged. A downfall without headlines, but a downfall all the same.
Address you wanted?
Thanks, MJ.
Honey, right? Love those quick packing heels.
She might see the Maserati. She wanna put it on me, trying to show me her tsunami. She make it hard to copy, always tight and never sloppy. And got her entourage and her own paparazzi. Now that she going in, riding through the stormy weather.
Aubrey Plaza's lowest point didn't arrive with a dramatic scandal splashed across front pages. It came in fragments, in the quiet moments when the weight of grief caught up to her. She had mastered the art of turning discomfort into comedy, but there were days when even that shield no longer worked. On those days, the applause felt empty. The cameras, which once energized her, felt invasive. She would sit through interviews, playing the eccentric persona the world expected, but inside she felt distant, watching herself from the outside, disconnected, almost hollow. Fame had given her everything, yet it had also stolen her ability to be fully seen. Grief had become routine. Funerals blurred into filming schedules. Loss became a shadow following her from set to set. To the public, she was thriving, headlining films, stealing scenes on award-winning shows, going viral with unpredictable interviews. But in private, she admitted that grief was her daily companion, a constant weight she carried even when she was smiling for the camera. This was Aubrey Plaza's rock bottom, the realization that she could be at the very peak of her career while personally unraveling. It wasn't about failure or scandal, but about emptiness. About the silent collapse that happens when the world only sees the mask and never the pain beneath it. It was a collapse hidden in plain sight, disguised as comedy, dismissed as eccentricity, but very real to the woman living it.
Down, down, down the road, down my witch's road.
I mean, a lot of people think that you were playing yourself in Parks and Rec, but Is it true that you were actually playing yourself in Agatha?
Of course.
Yeah.
That was the closest, the most blurred the lines have ever gotten for me.
Yeah.
When I was holding the dagger in the woods. Yeah.
That part was bananas.
It was crazy.
And the response to that show, talk about your hag heads. Talk about
I know,
your
my baby hags
parasocial.
love that shit.
Baby hags, sorry.
I'm going crazy. They're called baby hags, please.
Excuse me, baby hags. People, I mean, there's something about you that like is just witch adjacent. Like you organically have a witch vibe, as you said. You were called that early on. Like what is it about your fascination? You've written about the Christmas witch. What is it about witches and you?
Aubrey Plaza's journey is more than the story of one actress grappling with private pain. It's a lens through which we can examine the way Hollywood, and the culture surrounding it, consumes human suffering. For decades, the entertainment industry has demanded perfection from its stars. Actors are expected to deliver performances on cue, to be charismatic on red carpets, to provide late-night talk shows with sound bites that go viral. Vulnerability is rarely welcomed unless it can be repackaged as relatable content. And when grief shows through, as it has with Aubrey Plaza, it's often misunderstood. Fans love her silences. They love the way she stares down interviewers, lets awkward moments stretch, refuses to play by the rules. Clips rack up millions of views, labeled Classic Aubrey Plaza. But what if those silences aren't just comedy? What if sometimes they are glimpses of grief? We laugh because it's easier. We turn it into a meme because it makes us feel like we're in on the joke. But in doing so, we risk erasing the real human being behind the moment. This reflects a larger cultural problem. We don't know how to sit with grief. As a society, we avoid it, mask it, and in the world of celebrity, we commodify it. Aubrey Plaza's experience highlights that contradiction. When she channels her pain into art, it's celebrated. Critics praise her for the depth she brings to roles like Harper in The White Lotus or Ingrid in Ingrid Goes West. But when that same pain slips through in real life, it's brushed aside as quirky behavior. Her legacy, then, may be in how she forces us to question that double standard. What does it say about us that we can accept grief only when it is neatly packaged into entertainment? What does it reveal about Hollywood's machinery that an actress must hide her suffering unless it can be monetized? And yet, Aubrey's continued success also speaks to resilience. Despite her private battles, she has built a career defined not by conformity, but by defiance. She's carved out a space where silence itself has power. She's turned discomfort into art, and in doing so, she's given voice to those who also carry grief quietly every day. In Aubrey Plaza, we see both the cruelty and the possibility of Hollywood. Cruelty in how it misreads and exploits silence. Possibility in how someone can take that same silence and transform it into something meaningful, something that resonates far beyond the screen. Her story reminds us that behind every carefully curated persona, every viral clip, every red carpet smile, there may be a shadow we don't see. And sometimes that shadow is grief.
It's like I can't pinpoint exactly where that seeped in, but I will say I think where I grew up there's a witchy vibe in the woods of Delaware, first of all. It's an old state, the first state, in fact. And so I think I kind of grew up kind of always, I don't know, feeling witchy in the woods. But also I think that there's a bloodline thing happening.
The laughter fades. The interviews end. The spotlight moves on. And Aubrey Plaza is left with what has always been there, silence. To the world, she is a master of awkward pauses, a queen of irony, a performer who can turn discomfort into comedy. But to those who look closer, silence is not just her style, it is her truth. Grief, for Aubrey, has never been something to overcome. It has become a companion, a constant presence that shapes who she is and how she works. It lingers in her eyes during moments of quiet, in the way she holds a pause longer than expected, in the sharp edges of her humor that cut deeper than laughter alone. And maybe that is why audiences connect with her, even if they don't realize it. Because grief is not unique to Aubrey Plaza, it is universal. We all carry losses that never leave us. We all know the weight of silence. What sets her apart is her ability to bring that weight into the light without ever naming it, to make us laugh while reminding us of something darker we recognize but rarely admit. So when the credits roll and the curtain falls, what remains is not just Aubrey Plaza the actress or the comedian. What remains is Aubrey Plaza the human being, someone who continues to live, to create, and to perform while carrying a grief she does not hide, even if she never fully reveals it. And in that balance between laughter and loss, between performance and truth, lies her greatest role of all.
You know, in my family, with the women in my family, I think,
Wait, say again.
like, I feel like I have ancestral, like, witches in my life. Like,
Well, I mean,
for sure.
you really, your family feels like a matriarchy. Like you have sisters, you have really strong women in your family. And it feels like that feeling has been passed on.
Definitely, on both sides too. I
On both
think.
sides, right?
Yeah.
On your dad's side too.
And I have like Basque blood,
Mm-hmm.
and I found out about this years ago when I went to visit. I went to visit like the area where supposedly like some of my family's from,
Mm-hmm.
and there's this town called Zugarramurdi,
Mm-hmm.
which is on the border of France and Spain, in northern Spain, in the Basque region,
Mm-hmm.
and it's apparently where like all thousands of witches would like convene in these caves, which I went to visit, and like we talk about Salem witch trials, like that was like 200 witches. What, you love that shit, Boston?
Well,
What?
it's funny that you bring up the Salem witch trials.
Why?
Because we talked to Margaret Qualley today about you.
did?
Yes, who is so nice.
I know, I love her.
I know, and she loves you.
I know. We have a really sweet little connection there.
But her question was, what were the Salem witch trials like?
What? Bitch. Honestly, they were fun.
Alexis.
They were fun, Alexis.
They were fun.
They were fun. They were hilarious. Like,
Yeah.
everyone was freaking out. And I was just like, you guys are like so stupid. Like,
But I definitely can see you back in the day being on.
ugh, I would love it.
What do you think that was the best part about playing a witch on Agatha?
The best part for me was just like cackling. Because I had this one scene, like this one part at the end where like, and I don't even know why, but it was, I think cackling, there's something about cackling, I swear, that is like really therapeutic.
Well, it's probably somatic, like
It's
you
somatic.
mentioned.
It's like screaming.
Yeah.
But it's like you think like, why are witches cackling? Where does that come from? I feel like it must be some old timey way that women were like working out their rage, and because I'm not very tapped into that, my rage and whatever. But like when I really let loose and am able to like cackle or whatever, like it's I don't know, it feels good for me, and I really took that and ran with it. And like the scene in Agatha where I'm like sitting on top of the house, and like and I'm on a wire because I'm like flying down there, and she's down on the ground going like you know and like screaming at me, and I was just like and I was cackling like crazy, but I went really crazy with it. And
it felt good.
It felt good. It felt really good to just be like, just let loose. Okay, but you know, it's like a daily struggle, obviously.
So get it out of the way. People want to see you. I want to see how you are. They love you. I know. They love you and they want to see you. So you've had this terrible, terrible, tragic year.
Yeah.
You lost your husband. You've been dealing with that, and you've been looking for all different ways in which to feel and find support. And I think I would, on behalf of all the people who feel like they know you and the people who do know you, how are you feeling today?
Right in this very, very present moment, I feel happy to be with you. I feel overall I'm here and I'm functioning, and I feel, like I feel really grateful to be moving through the world. That is like, feels like what my grief is like, where it's like, or what grief could be like, where it's like at all times there's like a giant like ocean of just awfulness that's like right there, and I can like see it, and like sometimes I just want to like just dive into it and just like be in it, and then sometimes I just like look at it, and then sometimes I'm like I just try to get away from it, but it's always there. Address you wanted? Thanks, MG. Honey, right? Love those quick packing heels.
She might see the Maserati. She wanna put it on me, trying to show me her tsunami. She make it hard to copy, always tight and never sloppy. And got her entourage and her own paparazzi. Now that she built with me and riding through the stormy weather.
Right in this very, very present moment, I feel happy to be with you. I feel overall I'm here and I'm functioning, and I feel, like I feel really grateful to be moving through the world. I think like I'm okay, but it's like a daily struggle, obviously.
On behalf of all the people who feel like they know you and the people who do know you, how are you feeling today?
At all times there's like a giant like ocean of just awfulness that's like right there, and I can like see it, and like sometimes I just want to like just dive into it and just like be in it, and then sometimes I just like look at it, and then sometimes I'm like I just try to get away from it, but it's always there. It's just always there.
Aubrey Plaza reportedly broke up with her husband, Jeff Baina, months before he tragically took his own life. And according to this blind item, if it wasn't for the report from the medical examiner, she would have never told the public that she split from her husband before his death. Everything in this video is alleged, not confirmation of validity of allegations. If not for the medical examiner, the A-list actress would have never let anyone know she dumped her husband months before he unalived himself. And again, this is allegedly Aubrey Plaza and Jeff Baina. And the related headline reads, Aubrey Plaza was separated from husband Jeff Baina months before death, new report reveals. The indie film director and writer died by taking his own life in January. Aubrey Plaza and Jeff Baina were separated months before the indie film director and writer's death in January, according to a new report from the Los Angeles County Medical Examiner. After separating in September 2024 when the actress moved to New York, Baina made concerning remarks to Plaza that prompted her to call a friend to perform a welfare check on her husband in October, the report obtained by The Hollywood Reporter stated. Baina had reportedly started going to therapy after the couple had been experiencing recent marital difficulties in the months leading up to his death.
So you've had this terrible, terrible, tragic year.
Yeah.
You lost your husband. You've been dealing with that, and you've been looking for all different ways in which to feel and find support. How are you feeling today?
Right in this very, very present moment, I feel happy to be with you. I feel overall I'm here and I'm functioning, and I feel, like I feel really grateful to be moving through the world. I think like I'm okay, but it's like a daily struggle, obviously. Did you see that movie, The Gorge? In the movie, there's like a cliff on one side, and then there's like a cliff on the other side, and then there's like gorge in between, and it's like filled with all these like monster people that are trying to get them. And like I swear when I watched it, I was like, that is like feels like what my grief is like. At all times, there's like a giant like ocean of just awfulness that's like right there, and I can like see it. And like sometimes I just want to like just dive into it and just like be in it, and then sometimes I just like look at it, and then sometimes I'm like I just try to get away from it, but it's always there. It's just always there.